Hi, besties. You've found your community bestie to share thoughts and opinions, recap the shows we love,
Having too much fun.
Bravo should be fun.
and have piping hot gossip sessions about the celebrities and Bravo lebs we love, hate, and love to hate.
He went on a podcast claiming he had a threesome with two women from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Immediately, I was like, I wonder if it's Brandy and Carlton.
I'm Caitlin Marshall, your pop culture and Bravo bestie.
Allegations, allegedly allegations.
And if you enjoy fun conversation between friends, listening to your bestie rant about shows we can't get enough of, plus enjoy a little bit of, well, ridiculousness.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. There's a spider that is coming down. Hold on.
It's like the Blair Witch Project.
Oh my God. Has anybody seen my ring?
Oh my God.
I don't want to ruin the party or anything.
Have you seen my ring? Oh my God. Can you look on the floor for my ring? God, someone's gonna kill me.
Don't mess with me because I will come. What? Oh.
Feel free to leave that in for whatever entertainment purposes.
You're in the right place. So thanks for joining me on Besties by Bravo. Hi, besties. Thank you for joining me on Friday the 13th. I know that I am a little late getting this, the Valley recap, the Valley episode 9 out. You know how I'm always saying, oh my gosh, it was a crazy week? I could not be more serious about that. Let me just start by saying, number one, this is not a political podcast, and I don't believe human rights are political. I don't believe politics should be involved in human rights. And I simply went on my social media and posted legal and peaceful resources for immigrants in Los Angeles. And when I tell you, I have never in my life been spoken to the way I was by so many people in my DMs, I cannot even begin to explain to you. I can't imagine speaking to that way to someone in person. I can't imagine speaking that way to someone in a text over a DM. It was quite frankly disturbing. And I had finally received so many on Monday that I was like, y'all send me one more and I'm going to start posting your handle along with what you said to me. And when I tell you it was everything from you're a effing idiot, a moron, a bimbo, a POS, no one cares about you when you drivel about gossip, you moron, idiot, all of it. Things that were just so heinous. And I didn't even post all of them. I finally was like, screw it. So I named names. I named them. Name them. And then, so went through all of that Monday. That was exhausting. Then Monday evening, we had to take my son, my 3-year-old, to the ER after he'd had his first swim lesson that day. And we'd been at the pool, went great. He started being very lethargic and seeming to have breathing issues. Lots of coughing, high fever, like we're talking 103. Seemed fine. They're like, oh, it's a virus. Cool. Then Wednesday, I had just wrapped up all my notes. Okay. He's at his Nana's house. And we had noticed he had some wheezing the night before, but we were giving him all the stuff we're supposed to. Then my mom says he is sounding like he's wheezing. And so I'm like, great. I have a brand deal I got to do, and I haul my butt over to my parents' house, pick him up, barely make it in time for his doctor's appointment where we find out he has to have albuterol breathing treatments. That was a nightmare. My son fought me tooth and nail. I don't know about you, but if I worked in a pediatrician's office, if I were a nurse, any of them, and I heard a mother being in the middle of a WWE wrestling match with their 3-year-old over a breathing mask, I might go in and see if I could help. No one did. That was Wednesday. That's why we didn't get a podcast Wednesday. And then yesterday, it was more of the same, trying to do his at-home breathing treatments. He's been sick, all of that. And then I've been on the receiving end of course, because children, I mean, they will open mouth cough right in your gosh darned eyeball. And you're like, wow, you know what? I absolutely wanted an entire petri dish thrown inside of my eye. Thank you so much. That's what a gift. Happy Mother's Day. So, um, and I can't even go into what everything today. It has been a week. And with all of that, I'm going to tell y'all, I've said things like this before, but after everything this week, I am going to have to make major changes with the podcast. I cannot be as detailed in my notes anymore. I'm going to be doing general discussions. I know I've heard from people that they want even more details. Y'all, if I got more detailed, each episode would be 3 hours long. And I feel like I'm a little crazy with how detailed I am. So there's that. The podcast name will be changing to Besties by Caitlin very soon. We will be doing 1 episode a week. I'm thinking maybe 2, but we're going to be doing 1 episode a week because I desperately need to get some semblance of life back with my child, especially because that it's a little scary, when they're like, yeah, he needs breathing treatments. And this is like the healthiest kid ever. He wakes up at a Mach 10, y'all. And that's just 3-year-olds. But Jesus Christ, take the wheel some mornings where I'm like, you didn't sleep at all, because that was the other thing. I have to wait. We're waking up every 4 hours. It's like having a newborn again. Yeah. So every 4 hours with those breathing treatments. So I'm a little worn out. But you know what I wanted to do was come here and go ahead and do one last overly detailed episode. And what I'm going to say is I'm not just completely quitting everything. I love my besties here. So it is just going to have a slightly different format because, it's I know devil's in the details, but how about we bring some angels out? I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm a little out of it because I can feel the virus trying to overcome me, but I am not going to get the S word. Okay. And you know what the S word is? I won't even say it out loud. You can spell it out. That's what I said is going on with my son. It's a 4-letter word, not that kind, but I'm not getting the S word. So here we go. Let's get on into the valley, shall we? And by the way, are y'all going to BravoCon? Going to BravoCon? Go to BravoCon. If you go to BravoCon, you better come say hi to me, bestie. I will be so sad if you don't. Anyway, all the tickets have been sold, I believe. So that said, we start this episode with couples roller skating. Okay, actually, no. It's just Zach and Jasmine. It was giving me the Cutting Edge vibes. You remember that movie from the 90s? The hockey player and the figure skater who have to like compete in the Olympics together or something like that. That was such a great movie. The stress, though, I could feel with a camera crew if I were on rollerblades in Los Angeles trying to get across an intersection that I'm already like, oh my gosh, please, I'm trying not to die. I'm trying to survive as it is, especially in this economy. And then it's Los Angeles at an intersection with a full camera crew. No, absolutely not. Then we're at a hair salon where Michelle, Sheena, and Jared are watching Brittany and Janet have a conversation about Jax getting out of rehab. You may as well give those 3 a glass of wine each and a complimentary bag of popcorn. But Brittany says she still cannot find her wedding rings. And Janet asks Brittany if she checked Jax's eBay. And dear Lord, Jax was selling the Jenny Craig bags Brittany got from her brand deal with them on his eBay for apparently, like $29.95. Bet me something, besties. He will sell, if he hasn't already, those weird little granny panty white undies that were found on the counter next to the baby wipes. Kristen and Luke at their new house. We do find out that they'll be hosting a housewarming party, even though they're not entirely unpacked. And honestly, packing isn't so bad. It's the unpacking, okay? because those boxes, you know, the last ones that you're throwing things into, and I don't know, the most random things will end up in there, like, and the extra dog leash, a notepad from 6 years ago that you're not throwing out because, hello, paper, don't waste the paper. I mean, there are trees dying out here. And then the art you haven't used in 10 years, and, you know, like those random books you got a stocking stuffers, like, learn a lot while you sit on the pot, but you don't ever like actually put them out. And maybe there is, like, I don't know, some random perfume in there too. That's the worst part of unpacking. Nia brought Kristen a peacock plant, which is a perfect ad placement for being able to watch Bravo shows next day on Peacock. Outside, Luke asks Jesse if he's talked with Michelle at all after that shit show in Santa Barbara, which is a no. And she won't be there tonight anyway because she and Aaron are out of town. Gosh, I wonder how startled he was to hear that they were leaving Los Angeles for a moment. Jenna shows up. And at first I was like, why are we getting all of this screen time of this girl, Jenna? Who is Jenna? And then I don't know if y'all remember her, but James Kennedy and her were like banging way back when on, you know, Vanderpump Rules. And she was also one of Sheena's bridesmaids. And at some point, she may or may not have been. Lala's personal trainer might still be. I'm not sure. But she and Zach are very good friends and have been since he moved to LA. In confessional, Zach tells us, of course, I met her through Sheena because Sheena's like Kevin Bacon. It's always 1 degree of Sheena Shea. Now, I'm dead because how accurate is that? It's all happening. Sheena really is friends with everyone, and I had to know how many bridesmaids she had for her wedding to Brock, and I am shocked she only had 7. I have personally known people who had like 18 bridesmaids. I don't even like that many people. The boys have gathered outdoors to discuss that spa day, sort of, that Daniel had with Zach. Well, not so much as a spa day as it was an assault on Zach's testes. Zach gets scrotox. And I don't know. That just sounds extra painful and unnecessary, but that's just me. Apparently, it causes those little roundies to drop more. And in confessional, a producer points out to Zach that men's balls droop the older they get. So, you know, why rush it? And I don't know. I just can't with this one. Why? Zach asks Jesse if he would have gotten scrotox too if he went with him, and Jesse's like 100%. And I have to be real here. I expected nothing less from Jesse Lolly, except I'm shocked in this moment that he didn't go ahead and ask for the referral. How awkward must that appointment be to make for guys? Like, straight men already struggle with making any appointment that would benefit their health in any way. I mean, can you imagine making a therapy appointment for a grown straight man is like kryptonite for most of them. So making a scrotox appointment has got to put them through the floor. But Zach is impressed because he thought none of the guys would do it. But Jesse reminds him he is the weirdest one in the group. Accurate. He is the weirdo. He would absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. We see Janet and Jason arriving as Zach is putting some flowers in a vase, pretending to chastise a guy over letting the gay guy handle the flower arranging. Okay, bitch. You can see Jasmine visibly at Janet and Jason walking in. And in confessional, after Danny notices Janet and Jason showed up, he says he feels like he's fairly kosher with Jason, but his issue is still there with Janet after what he feels has been her attacking him and his character because she likes the drama and the pot stirring. Luke and Jasmine are chatting with asking how the other is as Jasmine claims, I feel great. Is that Janet and Jason? I feel amazing. It's fantastic. What do you mean? Why would I be annoyed or nervous or uncomfortable? I mean, I feel fantastic. I only called her a Karen and said she was a shitty friend. It's fine. I feel fine. I'm great. But Luke brings up her tiff with the other 2 Jays at the beach and how he's not seen Jason that worked up before. But Jasmine emphasizes the reasoning behind Jason being hurt was because she says she was not even the one who brought it up, the ring around the rumor bullshit. And it's something that was said years ago as it is. In confessional, Janet, oh my gosh, there are too many J names. Jason, Janet, Jasmine, Jax. Holy shit. In confessional, Jasmine says she felt ganged up on at the beach, but that she's been friends with those 2 for so long, so she just really wants to figure out a way to move on and past it and through it. She walks over to them and tells them she'd like to have a sit-down conversation with whenever Melissa is back in town. And she says 4 adults. I mean, she was looking at Janet saying that because maybe she wasn't considering Janet an adult at all. Jason's very receptive to that, while Janet does not speak a single solitary word. And after Jasmine walks off, she says, "That was a better conversation than the last one." Girl, you said nothing. That's probably why. I'm so- something about hearing Sheena Shea say, "I got some salmon sperm put on my face and then got some brains." To, to Nia and Dan. It's everything I needed on this Friday. And let me tell you, as I've said and told you already, it has been a week. I got some salmon sperm. Jesus, Sheena, never stop. She won't. She can't stop. Because where there's a will, there's a Sheena Shea way. Oh, it rhymed. As we're getting shots of the party, we hear Jenna telling Zach that she used to date Michelle's boyfriend, Aaron, a year and a half ago. And you know what? Zach at first is trying to just get the juice from that tea, asking if she actually liked Aaron, which she says yeah, kind of did. But then he remembers he was made for reality TV and says she should go tell Jesse, walking right up to him and telling him that Jenna has a story to tell him. And of course, Jesse automatically asks if the story is about him. No, you narcissist, it's adjacent, but okay. Jenna tells Jesse she dated Aaron, and this doofus Magoo Schmagoo goes, "Who's Aaron?" "Your wife's boyfriend you keep accusing of cheating on you with." I mean, what planet are you on? Why do I feel like he's in Aquarius? She tells him they dated twice, 5 years ago and then briefly a year and a half ago. Well, he says that he heard a year and a half ago that Aaron and Michelle were together, which seems to surprise her. So in confessional, Jesse says, 6 months ago, Super Bowl Sunday, Luke comes up to me and says, "Hey, I heard a story that Michelle was seeing a guy while you guys were married. She couldn't get a hold of him, and she stopped by his house and caught him with another girl. Is Jenna the girl?" He then tells Jenna he found out about Michelle and Aaron because of someone that was friends with Jax. Saw them at a bar in WeHo, but it was before anyone knew they were separated. So it was a big question as to what was going on there. And they were like, "What is happening?" So she technically wasn't doing anything wrong there, but okay. And then in confessional, Jesse says, "I've always been convinced that Aaron is the guy, if not one of multiple guys that Michelle cheated on me with. So the Jenna story starts to line up with my timeline. But it seems like maybe Jenna is not aware of all of this when he says that to her. Anyway, okay. Luke is trying to chat with Janny. Oh my God. You guys, the J words are killing me. Luke is trying to chat with Danny about how he's setting this trip up to Hawaii to plan the surprise proposal for none other than Ms. Kristen Louise Doty. And he says in confessional that Kristen is extremely difficult to surprise because she's very good at uncovering the truth. So we just have to keep Detective Doty off the case. What's so hilarious, though, y'all, is that I fancy myself the same. And damn if Jay did not hide my engagement ring box in my own folded pile of jeans in the closet right before we got engaged many years ago. And I didn't find it at all. What an idiot. I mean, Danny and Nia leave, and Danny kind of like almost dies from choking randomly. Okay, glad you're okay, bud. Brittany relays what had happened the previous night with Jax, the cameras, and the FaceTime with Jax's sister, Janet and Jason. Well, friends, Brittany asked the therapist that sort of seems to be assigned to him and who is shadowing him everywhere about it. And this therapist told Brittany allegedly that Jax made the receptionist cry because he told her that if anyone called to lie and act like he was on his way to urgent care. So he was adamant enough and intense enough with this woman that apparently she was sobbing when he was trying to force her to lie. And the therapist had to tell all of them the truth of what actually happened, that moron never went to the hospital. Are we shocked? No. In confessional, Brittany talks about how Jax is trying to put on this facade that he's changed and doing great and everything's lovely and precious, but that he's actually been putting her through hell. Brittany tells them about the email he also wrote, where he informed her the house is in for freaking closure and will, in fact, not be giving her the entirety of the podcast earnings, but rather had the idea they would take turns in doing episodes and keep the money from the episodes they each respectively did. And see, let me tell y'all, do you see the way he thinks he told the truth to Jason? Do you see that? He said she'd get all the earnings, but he did not mean every episode. And for those of you who have not watched Vanderpump Rules before you started the Valley, let me tell you, this is classic Jason Couchy. Excuse me, Jax Taylor. Brittany's name being on the mortgage and how it could completely ruin her hopes of ever getting another home for herself and Cruz, and how Jason could actually be surprised that Jax was full of shit when he told him he was going to give Brittany all the profit of the podcast is wild. Do you know nothing, sir, Jason? I mean, he's a fellow. We have two Jasons here. Can we form one full brain with it? I don't know. Michelle goes over to Lala's, and I watched this scene obviously more than once, and I found the first half of it to be so bizarre. And I don't know if it's that Lala is so very pregnant here and just over absolutely everything aside from getting this human outside of her body alive and well, or if she just does not give a shit anymore. She's like, I'm not pretending. This isn't my show. I don't care. But the way these two act around each other feels like they've hung out maybe once before, but not one-on-one. Because when Lala also gets Michelle a water, this was so weird to me. I don't know why. Michelle immediately launches in to how Isabella is always asking her questions like, Mommy, why is Daddy's place bigger? And how she tells her to be happy she has a roof over her head. Either Michelle is just thinking about how Lala clearly appears as though she has a decent amount of money at the moment, or she just doesn't even know what to say to her because they're not actually friends. Lala just goes, yeah, see, you're teaching her things. She's going to be a well-rounded kid. Okay. Let's add in what she maybe also was thinking. Like, I genuinely don't even know you or care to have a conversation with you. And like, good for you. You're trying not to make your kid like a spoiled brat, but like, I don't care. I need this human outside of my fucking body. That's literally all it came off to me. Anyway, they agree the hardest part of co-parenting is how the dads will literally let them do whatever they want, when they want, get what they want, when they want, etc. And Michelle asks her if she sees similarities in the patterns between Jesse and Rand. They could also not be more different physically, vocally. God, I will never get why a PJ and Gucci slides were worth that toad being exactly who you roll over to every morning. But Lala says she does, as Michelle says, she didn't realize how, I'm sorry. Lala says she does see the similarities. As Michelle says, she didn't realize how disrespectful Jesse could be to the others until they separated. And Lala asks Michelle if it's all right to talk about what's going on with Michelle's mother. And this is really, for me personally, starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together regarding Michelle. In confessional, Michelle tells us that her mom got sick a year ago and thought she just had some really bad food poisoning. And it was right when Michelle was going through the beginnings of this actual ending of her marriage from Jesse. And this is when her mother found out she had stage 4 colon cancer. Fuck, y'all. Colon cancer is one of the worst. And I'm not saying it is the worst. There is no competition there, but we've had family friends pass from that. And it is just, God. Her mother's first treatment of chemo didn't work. So she's in her second treatment, but it's spread. It's metastasized. And this has understandably been incredibly painful and hard for Michelle because for her mom is her best friend and her biggest supporter. So and it has come to know, we've come to know that her mother has passed. So I really do, I've said a lot about Michelle, but that kills me. We are now at El Compadre with Jasmine and Michelle, where they will be meeting Janet and Jason for their little chat. It's a little awkward, and Jason notes that a few weeks ago, this get together would have been a more fun gathering, but he starts by trying to find someone who isn't at the table to blame the entirety of this on. And that's gonna be Kristen, my friends, because he says Kristen came to them at the pool party and said Jasmine told her the ring removal rumor. Ring around the rosy ring removal rumor. Tried. Okay. Anyway, Jasmine says she heard the rumor a few years ago, but never repeated it or had any conversations about it. Jasmine, girl, come on. Don't you lie to us. Jason calls out that Jasmine did say, yes, she told Kristen. And we get a flashback of it. But Jasmine claims she never had a conversation with Kristen about it. And Janet wants Jasmine to know that in her eyes, Kristen blamed Jasmine for the rumor. Nah. Michelle squashes the he said, she said of it all. And it's about getting this resolved between themselves. Okay. Jason wants to address how upset Jasmine was with Janet at the beach and how to him it appeared as though she had some deep-seated resentment toward Janet. I mean, who wouldn't? Jasmine says that it's how she felt about her at the time, but that she doesn't think Janet is a Karen. I think Janet has Karen tendencies, and I go back and forth in this girl because I feel like she can show this really fun side to herself, but that also, it's like if you were friends with her and you had too much fun and too much trust with her, or you divulged anything in confidence, she would use it against you. And I think it's interesting because I think she learned a lot of that from how Sheena is. That's why her hair's so big. It's full of secrets. Janet points out that Jasmine's mother's name is actually Karen, but apparently Jasmine's mom was like, absolutely not. I will go by my middle name, Denise. Yes. Okay. No, thank you. Apparently it is Karen Denise Good, and she goes by Denise. She does not like the Karen of it. Now, Jasmine, the J names, y'all, it's killing me. And also J, the letter J and like SH and CH are part of a mild little speech impediment I have. So my brain is working so hard to make sure I don't do the weird speech impediment sound on it. And trying to say all the J names is sometimes killing me. Anywho, Janet admits she had to look up the definition of Karen. Ma'am, how old are you that you had to go look that up? I'm just wondering. And by how old, I mean, you should be too young to be needing to look that up. She tells them, it said entitled, and I was like, okay, I might be a little guilty of that. Let's not forget, Janet is the one that made her parents give her the master bedroom in their home growing up, just like Regina George. So, Jasmine apologizes about saying that and tries to joke that maybe they all have a little bit of Karen in them, and tells her in that moment it's just how she was feeling, and the fact she was alone, it just piled up. So Janet apologizes and says she didn't realize that it felt like a gang up on Jasmine. And in confessional, Janet says she feels like Jasmine is not the mastermind in all this rumor mongering, but rather that she feels Kristen is the mastermind. Okay, I would hardly say that Kristen was being any type of mastermind, but she was certainly being messy boots, okay? In confessional, Jasmine says she wants to be good with Janet because I feel like nobody wants to be on Janet's bad side because that can be scary, but also kind of, I assume, because she loves Janet and Jason. So they all make up and it's all good. And I forgot Jax was on this show. He's getting out in 2 days and is journeying on with his bullshit about how he wants to be making changes and is changing, and change such as because people grow. Fuck off. Anyway, over at Jax and Britney's house, I'm changing what I just said. Over at Brittany's house, Brittany and Cruz's house. That's what that is. How dare I? Caitlin, how dare you? I'm sorry. Anyway, so over at Brittany's house, she has ordered at least $400 worth of Domino's, McDonald's, and Taco Bell. And the girls plus Zach are coming to help her pack Jax's shit up because he now has his own condo and she wants his shit gone. Apparently, Michelle does not like fast food at all. It's like disgusting. Girl, not even once in a while. I think we need to just put some of those, put a little grease, oil, and preservatives in your body every once in a while. Come on, it won't kill you. Just a few times. It's fine. Brittany declares a rule that if anyone says the name Jax, they have to take a shot. But right now, Zach is going to propose that Brittany have one last night of freedom before Jax is out of rehab and suggests they go to Jax's bar the night before he gets out. But oopsie, you said Jax, so you got to take a shot. He's had this idea to turn Jax's into quote unquote Brits for a while. And so this was the thing before I watched the after show. I was like, wait, I remember they said there was supposed to be a Brits bar. Well, apparently the Rocco's that's over there in WeHo was sold and that's who owns Jax's bar. And they wanted Brittany to have her bar there too, but they wanted it tied in with Jax's. And she was just like, thank you so much. I respect y'all and appreciate so much how you wanted to work with me and do business with me. However, I will not be doing or going in to business with that stupid demon. Okay. Brittany admits to them that Jax knows he can kind of weasel his way in with her, and she's a little worried she'll break when he sees them. Also, that she does really love him and he can bring her back in easily, but she has been so strong. So she's trying to stay that way. Girl, we have to believe that you really, truly deep down love him, because otherwise I don't know why you would have fucking stayed. It can't even be about the money. Not that that's what people should do. Anywho. In confessional, Michelle says she wishes she was getting the same support that she's seen Brittany get in all of this, and believes that she herself is an amazing friend who would drop anything immediately for a friend who needs her, and that she feels she's not seeing that type of friendship return to her. I don't know. It's not because I'm feeling like I just don't like Michelle. It's not that, but she's not really one of those people that I imagine coming over in a crisis, scooping you up and taking care of you. This is going to be very annoying of me, but the two in that whole group I would call it would be Kristen and Janet. Yeah. Kristen and Janet. I feel like, yeah, that's who I would call. There, I said something nice about Janet. How about that? Everybody grabs a trash bag and they start taking all of Jax's shit out of the closet. Kristen separates Jax's shoes, putting a right. Oh my God, you guys, I have brain fog because my body's refusing to believe this virus is coming in and taking over. Oh my gosh. She separates a right shoe and a left shoe into different bags. And remember, Jax is a huge sneakerhead and like obsessed, like has special carrying bags for his shoes. This is hilarious. You know, he lost his ever loving shit when he saw his shoes in trash bags. And you know what? I don't care. He better not have lost it on Brittany though. All right. It is the most beautiful form of subtle fuckery I could ever know. It's brilliant. And of course, it was Kristen Doty's idea. In confessional, Kristen says, separating his shoes. It's like a way to get Jax's brain working. It's like how you work with little toddlers. You're like, okay, match with this. Let's be real. Cruz is more of a man than Jax is these days. Oh my gosh, as they're going through everything, Brittany just keeps having little aww moments, like throwing out Jax's little Jane jacket that he wears all the time. Ma'am, it's distressed. They get on to her a little, but she starts crying and they say she doesn't have to do this right now if it's too much. So in confessional, Brittany says it's so hard because she does still love Jax and the feelings won't go away overnight. Mine would have gone the second he was sleeping with other women because I am too psychotic for that shit. I'm telling you, if I had seen those panties on the counter like Brittany did, I would have come over while he was asleep. I would have been like, Mom, or called the nanny and been like, hey, I need you to watch Cruz for a second. I would have gone over to that house and I would have taken those panties and I would have quietly sewn them across his face, and so he would be stuck to the pillow. So he would have a panty pillow stuck to his face. How about that? That wasn't that diabolical. Maybe I would put some like mayonnaise in them. Ew. Okay, Caitlin, stop. Zach grabs the number one guy in the group hoodie and says he doesn't think they need that one anymore, but we get another aww from Brittany. But yes, Jax is the father of her son, and they'd been together 10 years. And in confessional, she says she genuinely did not believe they'd ever even separate. And that Cruz is keeping her strong because she knows keeping herself happy will be better for Cruz in the long run. Yes. They wrap up and dump like 7 big old trash bags of Jax's shit in the garage, but not before Janet asks Zach if Brittany's furry eyeglass holder is something to put a penis in. That would be a very small penis if so, and that would cause rug burn, I would think, but all right. Woo, y'all. Okay. Brittany is at a divorce lawyer's office, and good girl, it is time, especially with him getting out of quote unquote rehab in a few days. She tells the attorney they separated in January of 2024. And when asked what led Brittany to coming into her office, Brittany tells the attorney it's about Jax's blowups. Now, I'm going to right here, and I'm going to mark it and everything, put in a trigger warning for any type of domestic abuse, relationship abuse of any kind. Okay. Because let me tell you, I've been open with y'all about how I experienced emotional, mental, and domestic violence in my 20s, early 20s. And a lot of the things Jax does triggers the shit out of me. So I don't want to trigger anyone further if watching it and then hearing me talk about it is too much. So just fast forward like 5 minutes if you need to, okay? Now, Brittany says that wrinkled sock of regret will refer to as Jack's whole couchie. Well, he's been breaking furniture, punching walls, and claims he's not fully laid hands on her. Well, let me just put it to you this way. If it's within 4 feet of Brittany's person, he's close enough to be causing her harm. And I'll say, in my opinion, to be attempting to scare her enough to, at the very least, believe that he is going to physically hurt her. And I don't think in those moments of rage, he even cared if it would have hurt her. I think that was him testing the boundaries to see how far he could go around her. And those feet would be coming in by inches. Okay. Don't forget that. That's also considered emotional abuse, and it is a form of domestic violence. She tells the attorney he's still raging at her from rehab and even shows her the pages of messages that we see a few of. And God damn it, I think Bravo learned that we will be sneaky. We Bravo girls, gays, theys, and thems. We'll try and read the phone. So they're all blurred out, but the ones we see say this: I know you're drinking, and well, it's Jax, so of course. He used the wrong form of your. Y-O-U-R. I have eyes and ears. Everyone is going to tell me if you tattle on me again. I'm sorry. That made me stutter because tattle? Oh my fucking God. Go party while I am in here. I have every watching you like a hawk. You're not even coherent sober. Tattle on him again? This is so beyond fucked up. He wants her to keep his secrets. And I bet she is. And in my opinion, I would not be shocked if he did more than break furniture and punch walls around her. Not saying actual hands on her, but it's probably been worse than what we're hearing. Because I guarantee she is still protecting him to protect the income of their show. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. The attorney asks how Jax knows what she's doing and if he's stalking her. So she explains the camera situation and how he'd tell her he knew what she was wearing and doing. And I think Brittany really needed to hear from someone who has no idea who she is or who Jax is. Tell her that's disturbing. Oh, y'all, it gets even worse. Brittany tells her how Jax stopped paying the mortgage when she left and that she didn't know. And while they hadn't had the conversation about who would pay what when she left, you know, we've always known they've had that arrangement of her paying bills and him paying the mortgage. But she then tells the attorney that Jax was so far behind on his taxes when they got married, somewhere in the ballpark of $1.2 million, that Jax was going to go to jail if she didn't allow him to put a tax lien on the house. So their mortgage went from $8,000 a month to $17,000 $100,000. Jesus Christ, Mary, Joseph, and Andy Cohen, all because of him. And apparently, the government also took $100,000 out of Brittany's bank account because they are married. Whew. Y'all, if y'all saw my arms, I have goosebumps. Goosebumps. Because I'm so ragey. She relays to the attorney that she wants to go ahead and take over all the home payments herself. And the attorney wants to know what exactly will be Jax's financial contributions, which Brittany's like, well, that's exactly what I'm kind of needing help with. She's paying for everything for Cruz and never asked anything from Jax because she thought he was taking care of the mortgage. And you know what this was? You want to know? He made her feel bad about how much he was having to pay on the mortgage compared to what she was paying. But at the same time, he was having to pay what he was paying on the mortgage because it was his own goddamn fucking fault, you asshole. Brittany lets her know. She's getting scared now. So the lawyer tells her, file for divorce now, baby. He needs to know the marriage is over. And in confessional, Brittany admits she didn't come into this meeting expecting to file for divorce, but she's realizing how bad this has been now and is terrified that she's going to allow Jax to sneak back into her life. She goes ahead and files for divorce, feeling surprised that she's like not even crying at this point. And she kind of feels a bit of relief, which the attorney tells her that's kind of another sign you're ready. It's now the night where we're turning Jax's into Brits, and Nia and Zach are working away, just toiling, getting this going with the changing of the signs, covering the original, putting Brittany's photos up over Jax's pictures, custom shirts, all of the things. It's basically a bachelorette party, but for your estranged husband getting out of a quote-unquote rehab. In confessional, Zach talks about all the details he's thought of with this whole entire night, adding, and if anyone wants to say, oh, he's in a mental health facility, he's so fragile. He really wanted to say they can STF you or F off, but he's like, he's not fragile. Everyone is showing up, and Jesse is already getting like, it's so weird. I feel bad. We should feel bad for Jason Couchy. Jason tells him he thinks there's a good chance that Jax is going to find the whole thing funny. But on the chance he doesn't, he's not going to help with covering the Jax portion of everything. In confessional, Jesse says that Jason thinking that Jax might find this funny is probably like me thinking Michelle would think it's funny that I called her an escort. Unfortunately, that didn't resonate well. Calling the mother of your little tiny girl a hooker never resonates well, you twat. Kristen and Britt are in the car on the way to the bar. Brittany tells her she filed today, which makes Kristen very happy for her. Brittany feels guilty that she filed the day before Jax left rehab, but Kristen reassures her, no, baby girl, that is on Jax. After he had so many years to do better by their family, and Brittany does ask her not to tell anyone she filed, though. They get up out of the car, start walking up to what was Jax's, at least, what is not Jax's for the night. And Kristen has her look and see the sign, and Brittany's cracking up, and she just hasn't even noticed. Excuse me. Brittany's cracking up and hasn't even noticed Kristen's shirt that says, excuse me. See, the virus, it's trying to come in. Brittany is cracking up at seeing this sign, and she has not even noticed Kristen's shirt that says Brits yet. They all surprise her with a giant light up Brits sign. And this was very sweet of them to want to give her the best night she could have before Jax gets out. And Brittany's tatas are about to teeter-totter out of her confessional top. Oh my God. I'm sorry. It was like in that moment that I went, oh, please tell me there's some tape and body glue there. Michelle has a bit of a sourpuss face going and says to Janet that for her, the person that's really awful is right there, referring to Jesse being in attendance. And Michelle tells Janet that she feels weird because she's going through the exact same thing, and it feels like nobody cares. Listen, Jesse sucks royally, but Michelle Jesse hasn't been a shriveled up, pupil blown goblin of destruction on our TV for over a decade. So no.
In confessional, Michelle says, I'm going through the exact same thing, if not worse. Where is my support? And that it hurts her and hurts her feelings. But then she adds this: to go through something so tragic like a divorce and a sick mother, this is the time that I really need my girls. And y'all, I think I pray to God this is what it's been about. But I finally think I understand what Michelle is actually saying when she keeps going on about how her entire situation is worse. She's not talking about the divorce part, okay? But the combination of her being in the process of losing her mother to cancer and this contentious divorce. So I'll be very real. When you combine those two, yes, Michelle is going through something worse. But even though it isn't and shouldn't be a competition, the man that Brittany is divorcing actually is worse than Michelle's. Okay. Brittany's divorce is absolutely worse. Okay. So it's not a competition, but if you're going to make it one, fine. Okay. Now it's going to be a whole thing about Danny drinking tonight while they're all at a bar. Jesse says in confessional, he thinks Danny hides his drinking from Nia because he knows it upsets her when he drinks and that there's a 99% success rate that dark side Danny is coming out. Danny is informing Nia quietly that he has taken shots. So, I mean, at least he's being honest, right? Honesty is the best policy. Kristen sits with the whole group that are on these sofas and asks Janet and Jason if there's anything else they need to talk about or have resentment with toward her. Basically, she's like, are we finally good or are we going to continue this bullshit? Kristen met with Janet, apparently, to squash everything after the ring around the rosy removal rumors and the flashback to the unseen footage of this shows. They looked like they were good. But of course, Kristen heard from Sheena that Janet is not letting the ring rumor go and is talking shit on Kristen still. So Kristen wants to clear the air, especially with Janet, and calls out that she called Sheena up and talked shit on her, which Janet says that it was later the same day that she talked to Sheena about this. Wait, so the flashbacks make me a little confused. Was that little pool gathering at Sheena's house later the exact same day that Janet met up with Kristen and you were talking like you were some big badass? Give me a break. Danny is watching this kind of light back and forth and says in confessional he'd certainly heard about Janet being a little schemer last summer, and because it wasn't directed at him, he didn't take much notice. But yes, Danny is seeming a bit more than just buzzy at the moment and says to Kristen in front of Janet and Jason that he's pissed about it, so he's going to call shit out. Oof. Danny keeps inserting himself into this conversation that's more so between Kristen and Janet, and the look Janet gives him after she says that everyone talks about everyone, and he goes, no, and I heard you guys are not good with Jasmine. Kristen is also looking at Danny like, dude, I am in this shit bucket with her to begin with because I was defending you. So sober the F up for a second. But Nia is on his ass immediately, telling him to stop with her mom voice. Jasmine clarifies to Danny that she is now good with Janet and Jason. But Danny's saying he's not good with Janet and Jason about the other things outside of this ring crap, right? And Luke leans over to Jesse, telling him that Danny's drunk and accidentally effing himself here. Jesse tries to clarify if Danny's wasted at this point, and Luke is saying that it goes from a drink or two to a couple shots in, and then it's dark side Danny. Eek, y'all, this is why I don't take shots, though. It never ends well. Nia is getting pissed, and Kristen takes her over to the bar as Nia is saying she can't stop Danny from talking at the moment, so she may as well just go take her shot. In confessional, Janet says, it's very clear what's happening right now. Danny is wasted, jumping into a conversation he would never jump into soberly. Nina can't even drag him. Oh my God, you guys. Nia can't even drag him out. And this is dark side Danny at his finest. Luke tries to tell Danny to drop it. And as Jason says to Danny that he doesn't know what's going on with him at the moment, Janet goes, it's because he's Danny Darko. Oop, that's a little pokey poke if I ever saw one. Jesse tries to get Danny to go for a walk with him, which Jason is telling Danny to get out of here. Oh, God. And Danny just goes, wow. Jason, we really need to work on the things you use as comebacks because he just goes, no, you're the wow guy. You're a wow guy. Wow. Anyway, Janet says she and Jason have nothing to hide. And as Danny walks off, she says, my husband's not the one out here grabbing asses. Jesus, Janet, do you have any chill in you whatsoever? In confessional, Luke points out how it's this classic Janet move to point fingers when they just been having a discussion about her not talking about other people any longer. Danny goes to tell Nia what was said on the sofas, and Nia is ready to just GTFO. Okay. In confessional, Nia says she's really frustrated with Danny poking at Janet, but is obviously more so aggravated at Janet for going after her husband so much if she's supposed to be her friend. Janet just keeps talking about Danny, and, it's just what she does. I don't even know what else to say. Danny and Nia go to leave, but when they do, it's not without Michelle tattling to Janet about Danny calling her a snake. Janet says about Danny, he's mad at himself, but he's misplacing the anger on me. That's what's happening. He's mad at himself because he has a drinking problem and comes to this bar and does stuff that he's embarrassed by. And instead of talking about it, he's blaming me for stuff he has done. No, I don't think he's blaming you. What he's blaming you for is not shutting up about it. He's frustrated. Nothing's been made good with you, Janet. I'm not saying Danny's in the right here, but he clearly had an issue sitting inside of his body, and then the alcohol was like, hey, guess what, Danny? What? I think we should talk about that shit you're pissed off about. And Danny went, okay, you know what? I'll think about it. Let me take another shot. This shot says I should. And ain't that how it goes? In confessional, Janet says she's not making things up or lying about the things that have happened, but that she believes she's holding a mirror up to Danny. You might be, but you're so insensitive, Janet, and your delivery fucking sucks. Sorry, I'm cussing a lot today. Jesse and Brittany are sitting on another sofa with Jesse telling her he's staying sober this evening because he's picking Jax up tomorrow from, again, quote unquote rehab. Because we're now, it's going around that it's questionable if Jax was even in an actual rehab facility, but he wants to have a clear head for that. And again, to be so for real here, I don't know how any of these people who are well over 30 years old are able to do shots like they do. I would die for 7 days straight, at least, if I did that. In confessional, Jesse is droning on about how it's the night before Jax is getting out of a facility and that their friends are covering Jax's name up of the bar he's in love with. Well, maybe if he acted like he was more in love with his wife, we wouldn't be in this situation. He believes that Jax was very adamant to include Brittany in all of the entire process of bringing this bar to life or revamping it. And the flashbacks. No, honey. No, that's not what happened. Jax had her do all of the hard work. And apparently she paid for every single item of the decor that they redid. No, he wanted to just slap his name on something and call it a day and let Brittany do all the work. Although Jax did say in the after show, he wants to rebrand the bar. Basically, he wants to not call it Jax's anymore, which I believe is wise considering he's sober now. So Jesse thinks they're all trying to get Jax to regress when he's out of rehab, but I don't think that's what it is. I think it's intended as a sign that things are going to be vastly different when he comes out because his behavior was still disgusting, demonic, straight out of Satan's anus while he was in there. And also, they are literally throwing Brittany and your estranged husband's getting out of rehab bachelorette party night. That's what this was. Jesse asks Brittany what the plan is with Jax's stuff from the house, and she tells him about the girls coming over to pack up everything. Oh, but we should feel sorry for Jax that happened. But Jesse doesn't want Jax to come home to all of his shit packed up and hearing about the shirts that everyone is wearing saying Brits instead of Jax's. And his biggest fear is that Jax will go on the attack. But Brittany makes a fantastic point, actually, that if Jax does choose to start attacking fresh out of rehab, then it does prove he hasn't changed at all. Then she says, I do have Jax by his balls. I could do more if I wanted to, and I could do less if I wanted to. He needs to realize that and respect me for the decisions that I'm making. And Jesse, you annoying asshole. Asshole. That too. You're an asshole. You're asking a stupid ass question, you asshole. He asks her how much winning she really needs to do. Like he's at his lowest. No, the fuck he isn't. His lowest is losing his job. But she lets him know that there is no winning against her for Jax because he's a minion of the Antichrist. Mm-hmm. And that, my friends, concludes The Valley, episode 9. Yes, I will be releasing an episode next week. I have not forgot. I'm not getting rid of any of this, my besties, okay? I just, for this current stage of life, right, this second, at least until my sweet baby is back in school, I am going to have the podcast be a little less detailed. That is what I'm going for, okay? And that way we might be able to cover more than one show. How about that? Okay, friends, please support this little show for free by leaving a 5-star review with a comment about what you love about the show. It really does help this show keep going. Please also go give me a follow and subscription on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. It's all at Besties by Caitlin, Caitlin, and the Pop Culture Besties Etsy merch shop. It's like 99% Bravo. All right, besties, I hope you have a wonderful weekend celebrating the fathers that are in your life and the fathers that are no longer with us and anyone who has been like a father. Okay, friends, have a wonderful Friday and weekend. Thanks again for joining. Bye.